Asia stocks are rising, with the Australian ASX hitting a two-week high as banking fears ease. European stocks are also set to open higher, and the dollar is strengthening amid improved risk sentiment. The US Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation now faces almost $23 billion in costs from recent bank failures and is reportedly considering assigning a larger portion of this burden to the nation's biggest banks. But while more stringent capital requirements for US institutions may calm nerves, some analysts still expect a recession. Let's get more on this now with Taha Arvas. He's an adjunct professor of finance at Boğaziçi University. Thank you very much for being with us today. Taha, attention's now turned, it seems, for now at least, to the battle against inflation. What do you think will happen in May? Is it really time to hike again?
I think the Federal Reserve is done, or it's very close to being done. And it's not only me, it's also the markets have priced in have begun pricing in actual rate cuts in June, July, and August of this year. So I think further rate increases are off the table, and it's anytime. Probably they'll hold it here for a couple months and then begin to cut if markets are right.
Interesting. What about the recent moves from the White House, but also the DIC to support the banking sectors? Are they enough, or are there really any weak links still in the US and in Europe? We were talking about this together last week, and I mean, there was a lot of worry.
Right. So I think what we have to, the worry here is that the other shoe hasn't dropped, that some other bank will have issues, because despite all these efforts from the US federal government, the FDIC, the Federal Reserve, the US Treasury, there is this question mark in the heads of investors, or rather depositors. Yes, I have my money in regional banks. Regional banks play a huge part in US banking, unlike Europe and Turkey, frankly, as well. Because of this, people have this assumption that, well, my regional bank or other regional banks failed, so maybe I'm best positioned to move my money to a larger bank. And if that continues, if that sentiment, if that feeling continues, then we will undoubtedly see other regional banks in trouble, and that's only going to spur more trouble, frankly.
Right, regional banks, but are big US banks taking on more risk themselves? I mean, if the FDIC does go ahead and put more of that burden on them, is there any reason to worry there, Taha, even though those banks are considered too big to fail?
Yeah, there are two tiers of the banking system. Those that are strategically important, as noted by the Federal Reserve and the US Treasury, have no risk of failing, only because the government says so. And if you have unlimited dollars, then there's no problem. They name them. We know which banks they're talking about, and so if the full weight and force and power of the US government is behind these banks, and so that's the issue. I don't think there will be an issue with them, only because you have a big brother who has unlimited money. So in that case, there shouldn't be an issue there.
Thank you for this comprehensive analysis, Taha Arvas.
My pleasure.
And now let's go to other top stories from around the world. China and Brazil have reached a deal to ditch the US dollar in favor of their own currencies in trade transactions. The Brazilian Trade and Investment Promotion Agency says the agreement will reduce cost and promote even greater bilateral trade and facilitate investment. China is Brazil's largest trading partner, with annual trade in goods and services worth about $150 billion. Alibaba's chief financial officer, Toby Xu, said the company will consider giving up control of some businesses as it unveils its biggest overhaul in years. Under the restructuring, the Chinese e-commerce giant will be split into 6 independently run entities. Each unit will have the ability to raise external funding and explore initial public offerings. And Toyota's global sales hit a record for the month of February as the Japanese group recovers from pandemic-induced parts shortages. A total of 773,000 vehicles were sold worldwide in February, up by more than 10% from a year ago. The world's top-selling car maker also said global output rose 1.4% in the same month to just below 900,000 vehicles. And that is all from Business for now.